Welcome, citizens of Linden. I'm Mayor Derek Armstead, and this is the first of many informational broadcasts that I'll be hosting. With the recent updates regarding the impending snowstorm, I've asked Chief Jim Schulhafer of the Linden Police Department and Chief Joe Dooley of the Fire Department, along with Jim Buckley, our Operations Supervisor of Snow, to attend the meeting to help keep the residents better informed as to what procedures they should follow in the event of a major snowstorm. At this point, I'll turn over things to Chief Schulhafer.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a few suggestions that I would like to make from a police department and an Office of Emergency Management perspective. First of all, whenever we have a major weather event, please stay off the roads if at all possible. Obviously, everybody needs to get to work, but other than travel that is absolutely necessary, please stay home until the roads are cleared and the weather improves. Secondly, and this is an issue that we seem to have a problem with during every snowstorm, the vehicles should be removed from the street so that the plows can get through and clear the roadway. We actually have a city ordinance that mandates that cars be removed from certain streets within the city whenever the National Weather Service issues a weather storm advisory. There are about 20 streets within the city of Linden that fall in this category. I would like to read the list, and if you happen to reside on one of these streets, you need to be extra cautious in order to make sure that your vehicle is removed prior to the storm. Chandler Avenue, Clinton Street, Cranford Avenue, DeWitt Street, DeWitt Terrace, Elizabeth Avenue, Greer Avenue, Knopf Street, Linden Avenue, McCandless Street, Orchard Terrace, Park Avenue, Pleasant Street, Raritan Road, Roselle Street, Route 1, St. George Avenue, Stiles Street, Tremley Point Road, and Wood Avenue. That's the entire length of all of these streets and both sides. These are all major thoroughfares within the city, and it's necessary that the plows are able to get through and plow from curb to curb. Realize that the police department takes no pleasure whatsoever in ticketing and towing stranded vehicles, especially those belonging to our residents. But this is something that we feel is necessary for the greater good. And if you live on any other street besides the ones I just mentioned, while it may not be mandatory to remove your vehicle, it's strongly suggested that you do so. I realize that not everybody has a driveway, or you may have a driveway that's not large enough to accommodate all of your vehicles. If that's the case, you need to make arrangements beforehand, perhaps parking your car in a neighbor's driveway or taking your car to a friend's or a neighbor's home for the duration of the storm. Remember that it's always easier to clean off a car that's parked in a driveway than to dig out a vehicle that's been plowed in on the street. And of course, you run the risk of receiving a ticket or having your vehicle towed. Nobody wins in that situation, and we would much rather have your cooperation. Mayor, those are the two main points that I wanted to make today, but I also have a couple of other quick suggestions that bear mentioning. If you need to call for an emergency, please dial 911. If it's not an emergency, please call our regular number, which is 474-8500. Please also remember to clear your sidewalks and walkways in a timely manner so that emergency service workers can reach you safely. This is all the more critical if you have an elderly person or someone sickly living with you. Also, if you have elderly neighbors or a neighbor with special needs, please remember to check on them to make sure that they have everything that they need. In the event of a power outage, please make sure that your cell phones are charged and that you have flashlights and batteries on hand. It's probably also a good idea to purchase one of the small battery packs that are readily available today for your cell phone. Cell phones going dead was one of the major issues that we faced during Superstorm Sandy. And during any major weather event, whether it be, as I said, weather, or whether it be a man-made emergency such as a terrorism event or an industrial accident. Always remember to monitor this station, Linden TV station, the Linden Police Department Facebook page, Union County First Alert, and Nixle. For those of you that don't know what these things are, I would just like to take a minute to explain them a little further. The Linden Police Department has its own Facebook page that we use not only to keep residents informed during an emergency, but also to talk about everyday events that you may be interested in and not aware of. If you're on Facebook, simply enter Linden Police Department and like us, and you will receive these postings automatically. We also have a system called Union County First Alert, which is our reverse 911 system. During an emergency, we can send out a recorded message to your home telephone. We could do this citywide, or we could tailor it to a particular neighborhood or even a street. Now, I know that some people no longer even have a landline phone and they rely on cell phones. If that's the case, you can enter your cell phone number and receive the message there. All you need to do is go to ucfirstalert.org, register your telephone number, and you will receive these alerts. The newest way that we intend to make contact with our residents is through a system known as Nixle. This is a system that allows us to make notifications to our residents through text messaging. This can include information about weather events, local emergencies, even traffic advisories or current events that you need to be made aware of. Simply go to nixle.com and register your cell number. That's Nixle, N-I-X-L-E. All of these measures that I've talked about are free, and all they really take is a couple of minutes of your time to register your numbers. All of these will greatly enhance our capability of remaining connected with you. Mayor, that's really all I have. Major weather events are always inconvenient for all of us, but if we can all cooperate, follow some of these tips, we can make it very manageable.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Chief Dooley.
Thank you, Mayor. The fire department's concerns are very similar to the police department's concerns. We have the same needs and issues with your cooperation. The issue of cars and the roads are very important to the fire department. All of our apparatus and our ambulances are large vehicles. They take a lot of room and need a lot of room to negotiate the streets. When it snows, we begin to narrow the streets just because the snow has to go somewhere, vehicles parked, and it's imperative really for us that you cooperate with Public Works, get your vehicles off the road so they can get the roads down to the curb lines if they can, because this will help to give us enough space to move our vehicles. As we respond to emergencies this time of year, we add additional manpower to calls to help negotiate the sidewalks and the stairs. But Chief Schulhafer's reminder to get your snow cleared as soon as possible is very important. However, historically, shoveling snow is a very large contributor to heart attacks. It's heavy, especially a wet snow. A lot of us are not in a condition that's really ready for it. If you're not healthy, if you have a condition, please find someone to help you remove your snow. I know a lot of us like to take care of our own homes, and we have a certain amount of pride, but that I would ask that you truly consider getting help if you feel that your medical condition isn't really prepared for this kind of work. It's hard, arduous work. So please bear that in mind as we move through the winter season. We're here talking about snowstorms in general. This specific snowstorm apparently is going to have a large ice component, and that because of how the ice can look or see, you may not be aware of it or see it. So just be aware that this may be a pretty strong ice storm, and try to govern your activities based around that. Like the police chief said, if you don't have to be in the roads, please don't. It's very difficult for the police cars, the fire engines, the ambulance, and the plows to negotiate the streets if we're competing with them for people who are out driving for any non-emergency or a really significant job issue. So really please heed that advice. We also ask if it's possible for you to help us out by keeping the hydrants dug out. There's nothing anybody can do about the snow getting around the hydrants. We have to dig them out. As soon as the weather allows, our guys will be out digging out hydrants. But everything you can do to help us with that, even sometimes just marking it so that we know where it is. We have a good idea where everyone is, but when you pile the snow around, it can get hard to find them. So anything you can do to help us in that regard, whether it's as simple as marking the hydrant or even helping us by digging it out, we really would appreciate that assistance. In the cold weather, there are a lot of issues with people heating their homes. We've put on the Linden website in the fire department some winter tips for cold weather, cold weather stuff in your home. We very much advise you not to use your ovens, not to use kerosene heaters. They're illegal in the city of Linden. All these devices create carbon monoxide, and there are often every year problems related to these kind of stopgap measures to provide heat. If you have heating problems, City Hall, the building department, if you have a rental issue, there are people who can help you. But I encourage you to go to the Linden website, www.linden-nj.org. Under the fire department, you'll find a list of some winter recommendations to help keep your home safe this time of year. Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome. Jim Buckley from our Department of Public Works.
Thank you, Mayor. As the two chiefs said, the major concern during a snowstorm is to keep the streets open, and that's where the Public Works comes into play. And we have to get to the curb, and it takes a very long time for our trucks to get to the curb. In the meantime, as Chief Dooley said, pride of ownership takes over, and everybody wants to get out with their snow blowers and clear their aprons. Unfortunately, we'll be by after you do that, and we block the driveways again, and our guys are not doing it to have any kind of fun or revenge. It just takes us 7 or 8 passes down every street before we can get to the curb. The reason being is because we have to keep the primary streets open for the emergency vehicles. The police, fire, the ambulances, OEM, they all have to get down, and our job is to keep the main thoroughfares open first, then we go to the secondary streets and the dead ends. It takes us a good 6, 7, 8 hours to get to the curb, and the reason we have to get to the curb is because we can't leave it in the middle of the street, because if it turns to slush and then turns to ice, then you end up driving through like a bowl of Cheerios, because the water can't get down into the catch basins, and it freezes in the middle of the street, and we have problems after the storm. During the storm, as I said, we all do what we can. It's after the storm that we have to look for. We have to look at all the conditions that may appear, if it's going to freeze, if it's not going to freeze, and that determines whether we plow or just salt during the storm. So we ask that you can hold off until the end of the storm to shovel out your apron. If you employ a snow removal service, we ask if you can have them come as late as possible, and this way it'll keep everybody on the same page, and we won't be at odds. As the chief said, if we can get as many cars as we can off the street, if you can ask a neighbor to share a driveway, anything that you can do to make the streets more navigable. I also notice another problem that's been popping up is more and more people are just digging out their parking spaces and then marking them with garbage cans and ironing boards, and it's really not the proper way to do it, because, as I said, if you let us get to the curb, you'll have no problems parking. If you dig your car out, and then we can get by there to the curb, and you won't lose any furniture, your lawn furniture, in the meantime, because our plows are just, we have to get to the curb, and we're just going to knock it out of the way, unfortunately. So, other than that, like I said, it's all a guessing game, and we do what we can.
Thank you, gentlemen. I hope this information has been informative. Please stay tuned to Linden TV for more updates.